who wanted to be in control of this country. 2016, if we sign up to the fiscal treaty, it gives a huge amount of more power to the big states in control, which is France and Germany, and that's why Germany was there in 2016. Who's in charge? And that is one of the main questions we have to answer in this referendum.
Okay. The European Union spends 2.4 billion euros a year in promotions. This comes in a whole variety of guises, but it's a very, very big budget they have to promote the wonderful work of the European Union. Now, I do accept not all of that is being spent in Dublin or in Ireland. We are spending on this project less than 200,000 euros. So it is still a significant sum of money, but it is an absolute pinprick against the massive money spent on the other side. The one thing I must say that Ireland does do, where you are an example to everybody, is when you do hold a referendum, you do have this very good law that says in terms of broadcast media, both sides must get a fair crack of the whip, and that is admirable. Sadly, what you don't have when you have a referendum in Ireland is the same spending limit for each side. Now, we don't quite know with Lisbon, but probably the yes side in those two Lisbon campaigns outspent the no side by a factor of at least 20 to 1. And it would be actually rather better to ensure free and fair referendums if both sides have the same amount of money.
And the second part was, are you planning to have any other contributions to this referendum debate after today?
No, this is our contribution is this leaflet and this press conference, for us to come here and present ourselves. We are doing 1 or 2 media debates, aren't we?
It's in the last word debate tomorrow.
Yeah, so we are doing some media debates, but no, you won't be seeing too much of us, I promise.
Okay, I'll move on quickly. And on that question, I would love to see the Irish media ask hard questions of the yes side, where are they getting their money and how much they're spending. And I'll tell you, we are spending less than 200,000. There's a group of 89 EPP MEPs going to Killarney tomorrow for 2 days with 21 interpreters, and that is costing the taxpayer. Now, I have the figure here in a document. I think it's 264,000. That is the total cost of 89 MEPs, 21 interpreters and 9 staff going to Killarney for 2 days. So they're coming over for a junket in EPP. The Federalist group of the EPP is coming over for a junket. The 4 MEPs here from the EFD group are coming over to campaign.
This is not a junket. Yeah, and indeed my bag's still at the airport somewhere lost.
They are coming over to campaign and fight for Irish freedom, so I welcome that. One last question from Jamie. Jamie, please tell me in short.
Very short.
Good man.
Nigel, you mentioned that Ireland has been under foreign domination since 1973, and of course it was under foreign domination for 800 years from Britain. If the Irish vote no to this treaty, it will push them a bit closer towards Britain. Is that what you're advocating, this closer restoring of relationship with Britain?
No.
And secondly,
I'm afraid not. Disappointing for you, I know, but I'm sorry, I'm not.
And secondly, there is a budget deficit of about 16 billion. So if they don't have access to the ESM, should they take a more fiscally responsible way and make the cuts now here?
Okay, look, in terms of the kind of Europe, what all of us in the EFD group, and indeed what now quite a big majority of European citizens across the whole of Europe want, we want a Europe that is based on trade, cooperation and friendship, not one that is based on our highest court being in Luxembourg, not one that is based on people like my old friend Herman Van Rompuy having vast amounts of power. So, we're talking about different kinds of Europe where independent sovereign nation states cooperate, trade and work together. And that's the vision for the future. And that's the vision in the end that I think will win. As far as budgets are concerned, it is always tempting to say, look, if we had more discipline, in our constitution here in Ireland or perhaps in the United Kingdom, it could stop bad governments or greedy governments from misusing money in an attempt to get re-elected. And that's the argument that Pat Cox, for argument's sake, is putting out. I have no objection to our constitution making sure that we are fiscally responsible. But there are 2 answers to that. The first one is that you should never ever bind the hands of your own government or your own chancellor, because you do not know what circumstance may come up at some point in the future. There may be an emergency down the road that none of us can see, where actually it is worth getting into heavy debt for, because the issues at stake are so great. And the second answer is, this really, your question gets to the heart of how do we want to live? Do we want to accept that by voting for governments that make decisions, we might get some rotten governments, but at least we can sack rotten governments? Or are we happier to live in this new form of government, where nearly all of our laws are proposed by unelected bureaucrats, and even if we hate the laws they have proposed, there is nothing we can do through the ballot box to remove the men and women that made the laws or to change the laws themselves. So really your question, gets right to the heart of this.
But you didn't answer it, to be fair.
Well, I did answer it.
Should they make the cuts, the Irish government?
That's up to the Irish... Well, I would suggest that is up to the Irish government and not up to the European Commission and the European Central Bank. And again, it gets to the heart of this debate. Who governs Ireland?
Okay, we'll finish there. We're now going, the MEPs are now going to go to the GPO and give out a few leaflets for the sake of, well, the good of Ireland. Okay, thank you very much for coming, everybody. And if you need anything, just come to me. I'll send you out the costing of the EPP group as well. Thanks.